standing for a word of prayer, and I would invite Madam Victoria Nabitaka to lead us in a word of prayer.
Let's humble ourselves in prayer. Heavenly Father, we ask you to bless us. We come before you humbly, requesting you to forgive us for all our transgressions, all that we may have done, knowingly or unknowingly, in a manner that was not befitting to you. We come before you to ask you to bestow upon us divine wisdom as we deliberate on issues today pertaining to strategic matters that are beneficial to the economy in Uganda, so that we come up with resolutions that are beneficial to all of us. We ask all this through the Almighty. Amen.
Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, you could take your seats. The Commissioner General, the Uganda Revenue Authority, before you are very key, primary, and distinguished stakeholders, a C-suite class of executives. These are captains of industry. They are the top third contributors to this country's revenue, and many of them call them the movers and shakers of industry. We're here today for an engagement to hear from each other on how best we can progress in a journey of revenue mobilization to salvage this country's economy. Commissioner General, some of the feedback that I have received is that our senior management is rare when it comes to being in the field. Our stakeholders want to feel us more, hear from us more, engage with us more. And I think you've led with example. I think just a day or two, you were visiting some industries, still to discuss what are the issues, what are the pains, and how can we work together. Allow me just to show our guests some of the leadership we have here, so that when it comes to the breakaway, before you go, you know exactly who to talk to. And I will take the pleasure to introduce to you our guests, our Commissioner for Legal Services and Border Affairs, that is Madam Patience Rubagumya. If she could wave so that people see where she is, it would be a privilege. Madam Patience, stepped out. We'll see her. We have Mr. Herbert Rusoke, the Commissioner for Internal Audit, and of course, Internal Audit. Mr. Rusoke, you are somewhere here. If you could wave. Yes, people should know people who are taking the leadership at the URA. We have the Acting Commissioner for Customs in the Customs Department, who is now being represented by Madam Victoria Nabitaka, who gave us a word of prayer. Excellent. The substantive Mr. Abel Kagumir, I think, is known to many of you and usually engages with many of you. We have Madam Sarah Cherenget at the top there for our domestic taxes department. Very key, and you'll be hearing from her. We have Mr. Robert Mutebi, the Commissioner for Information, Technology, and Innovation. It's a very brand new innovation at the Uganda Revenue Authority to transform our services into easier, more flexible, and more convenient services. We also have Mr. James Malinzi, our Assistant Commissioner for Customs Audit. James Malinzi, we're here. Thank you very much. Our guests should be able to see you. We have Madam Sandra Kitare. She is our Assistant Commissioner for Petroleum and domestic tax under domestic taxes. Sandra is over there. We have Madam Julie Njuba, the Assistant Commissioner for Compliance Management. Madam Julie, I've seen you around. Okay. Mr. James Odong, the Assistant Commissioner for Enterprise Architecture. I saw Mr. James here. Exactly, you wave so that our guests can see you. Mr. John Tinker, who will also be speaking to you up there, who is our Assistant Commissioner for Large Taxpayers Office, where the bulk of you lie. He's the man of the day. And lastly, probably you did not see our Commissioner Legal Services, Madam Patience Rubagumia. If you could stand, Madam Patience, so that our guests see you. That office is very critical, especially when we are having issues that are legally related. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to kick off with the program, and I would like to invite remarks from our Commissioner Domestic Taxes, Madam Sarah Cherenget, to give us an opener and set the scene. Madam Sarah, you're welcome.
Good morning and most welcome. Thank you so much for coming to grace this occasion. The Honorable Minister of Finance, in absentia, who is coming to join us shortly, Commissioner General, the CEOs and CFOs, and the tax agents in your respective capacity, both as CPAs and lawyers, the senior management staff of URA, the Uganda Revenue staff, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming to grace this occasion. A warm welcome to all of you to come for this extraordinary event. Allow me to thank you so much for responding to our call. I'm Sarah Chelangat Mzungyo, the Commissioner for Domestic Tax. I just joined in effective 1st December 2021, having come from the private sector. To the Commissioner General, thank you so much for ensuring that this event, this engagement takes place between URA and our top largest taxpayers. It's the first kind, and we hope that many more of this will come through. This is to support the need to liberate our country for economic independence. This engagement brings together the Ministry of Finance, URA, the large taxpayers, the tax agents, to allow us for progress on issues that we care about, specifically the economic transformation of Uganda. Your investments contribute more than 50% of the total collections of URA. What I mean here is that the large taxpayers unit, for which all of you belong, contributes more than 50% of the total revenue that we collect as URA. And what does this mean? It means that you are not just taxpayers, but you shape the story of the economic drivers of this country. You are very central in our discussions of tax mobilization. So it's the reason we thought that you really need to come and talk to us. We therefore thank you for the partnership in tax administration and compliance. Your efforts as collection partners and agents are immense. Thank you so much. The purpose of this engagement is for us to share the issues of concerns for the economy, specifically to discuss how best can we work together, how best can we share experiences, how best can we support each other to mobilize this revenue that we so much need for the development of our country. All of us need better services, better infrastructure to support the economic growth of our businesses. This can only come through mobilizing the sufficient revenue that we need as a country. We have experienced drop in tax contributions from some of you, and this feels the hardest when our large taxpayers are hit in the toughest in their contributions. We are not just here just as taxpayers or tax policy people or administrators, but as Ugandans, to shape the story of how tax can contribute to Uganda's economic development. In this regard, I wish to highlight some of the tax administration developments geared towards smooth compliance, specifically the alternative dispute resolution that we have that is available for all taxpayers, and for you specifically, we have the voluntary disclosure that is also there, and which comes with the waiver of tax penalties and interest. We also have the enhanced digital solutions like e-freeze and digital stamps that is supposed to enhance tax transparency and compliance, and the introduction of the DTS within the LTO is very, very important to us because it's a key driver of compliance. You supply the other networks in your supply chain, and once the LTO are compliant, it's really a big thing. We also note that the high net worth individuals is being migrated to the large taxpayers, and they will be served there better. We have separated the petroleum unit from LTO. It's a division on its own, and as we look forward to exceptional service to taxpayers in this area. We also wish to hear from you and share with you on how to further support tax compliance and raise revenue collections. We wish to address your challenges. One meeting may not share it all, but pave way to build that cooperation and trust that we need most. The Assistant Commissioner Large Taxpayer is here and will provide us with the detailed performance of the large taxpayers and issues that we need to dialogue over the Uganda's economic concerns about taxes specifically. Let us think about the following. How best can we finance Uganda's budget? What is impending? What potential do we have? What can we explore? Especially the idea of cooperative compliance, so that we can further support tax compliance and businesses. Cooperative compliance is about you voluntarily declaring your taxes, voluntarily doing a self-review, and coming forward and saying there is this tax that was not declared and we can declare it. How would we further support you in the implementation of e-freeze and digital stamps? The LTO should not be non-compliant. As taxpayers, we see you really as partners to support us in compliance, especially of the small and medium taxpayers. You are the champions of change, and you will support us in this compliance drive. LTO runs a client relationship model that is similar to the one for banks, and we want to give you that exceptional touch, that client experience that will help you manage your tax and manage your business. We want to understand you better so that we serve you better. That is really very, very important to us. What are the areas that tax policymakers and URA can hasten to support you? That is the discussion that we look forward to. How would we increase the performance of income tax or corporate income tax? We need to raise the tax contribution for corporate income tax. The effective tax rate is still very low, despite being a direct tax of your very existence. However, this does not undermine your contribution in indirect taxes, especially VAT and local excise and stamp duty. We also look at other direct taxes like pay as you earn and withholding tax, contributing to us greatly. How would we close the revenue gaps among the large taxpayers? I want to resound this. In moments such as this, we can respond with the big and bold ideas to bounce back as large taxpayers. We are champions of change, as our colleagues in the LTO office put it. We are not quitters. If we work together, we will recover. Everyone is sitting in this room wants a prosperous country. We want a prosperous business. Everyone wants to be compliant. if each of us is able to pay that fair share of tax, we can be able to make this country a better economy, and we can be able to make Uganda independent and self-reliant. We are decent working Ugandans, and we can employ more. We just imagine all the employees that large taxpayers employ, and really thank you so much for that. We thank you for your commitment and attention, and I wish you a successful engagement. Thank you so much for God and my country.
Ladies and gentlemen, the URA way looks like this, if you may listen. Asante sana. At the Uganda Revenue Authority, we are undertaking a transformation in revenue services. So we are driven by 3 basic values: patriotism, integrity, and professionalism. But to lead that agenda, we also rely on exceptional leadership. We also have captains of our sector in revenue mobilization that are spearheading this transformation. And we hope that with what we are doing and how we relate, the discussion ought to be cordial. Ladies and gentlemen, to greet you and still further welcome you here for his remarks is the Commissioner General of the Uganda Revenue Authority, and I invite Mr. John Musinguzi.
The Honorable Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, in absentia, I will shortly deliver his message. He will be joining us shortly. The captains of industry, our valued partners on this journey of revenue mobilization, the different CEOs and chief financial officers present here, the other officials from the Ministry of Finance present, our partners in the revenue collection effort from the auditing firms and tax agents organization, the Uganda Revenue Authority staff, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning to all of you. Throughout, and also the Honorable Minister has promised that after the current engagement is in, he will come and join us. Let me start my remarks this morning by thanking the Almighty God for making this day possible. As men we plan, but God fulfills our plans, and we honor him this morning. Let me also thank our dear partners in the struggle to mobilize revenue and develop our nation, our valued taxpayers, the leaders of industry, to come and be with us. We do not take this for granted. We know how precious your time is, and indeed, we value it so much. So we thank you for coming. Let me also take this opportunity to thank you for your dedication in fulfilling your tax obligations, which enable us as the revenue administrators and government to deliver the services to the people of Uganda. The taxpayers of the large taxpayers department represented here are about 878, and as you've already heard, out of this small number, you contribute 40% of the total revenue collected. The entire domestic department collects about 60% of the national revenue. But of that 60%, the large taxpayers division alone contributes 40% to the entire revenue kitty. This is commendable, and we appreciate you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, as a country, we are at a very interesting point where we need to come together and agree on how best we can move forward on this effort of revenue mobilization. We are only collecting 13% of our tax to GDP ratio. This is below the sub-Saharan Africa average of 16%. It is far below the rest of the world, especially the developed world, which collects 30% and some nations 40% of their GDP. Yet, research has indicated that for any nation to develop, they must collect at least above 20% of their GDP. It is only then that they can effectively deliver service to the citizens and also develop their nations. So Uganda, at 13%, there is a very big room for improvement. The other indicator that shows us how we are doing as a nation, we are only funding 50% of our national budget. Now that means that the other 50% has come through other sources other than domestic revenue, including borrowing and, of course, to a limited extent, seeking for grants. Therefore, as URA celebrates doing this service of revenue collection for the last 30 years, we've come to a point when we've said, no, it's time to take a pause and rethink and re-strategize and see how we can do better than this. And therefore, ladies and gentlemen, the core reason why we're this morning is not just to speak to you, because we must admit that we don't know how to do everything by ourselves, but also is to listen to you, to share with you the burden that we have, the challenge beforehand, and listen to you on how we can move this journey together of closing the current budget deficit as well as the tax to GDP low ratios that cannot help us move Uganda forward. We realize that for us to achieve this, we must work with our partners, and there is no partner as important as the partners in the large taxpayer office. But also we realize that on our side as URA, we must make some changes. Changes that will cause us to serve you more efficiently, changes that will help us to be more responsive to your needs and challenges, changes that will help us bring more people to the tax bracket, and we have implemented a number of these which the team will be carrying you throughout. But at a global level, allow me to mention but a few. We believe that technology can help us to improve the way we manage tax administration. We have therefore created a department for the first time in Uganda Revenue Authority, the Department of IT, Information Technology and Innovation. The core mandate of this department is to research and deploy state-of-the-art technology, collect and optimize the use of data, and use that data for analysis so that all the decisions we make are guided by data and facts. Some of the key smart technologies that we are rolling out and would like to hear more from you, but also appeal to you to embrace these two great technologies, is the technology of digital tracking solution that monitors all excisable duties, all excisable commodities, including those manufactured here and those imported, from the point of production to the point of consumption, but also the electronic fiscal receipting and invoicing solution, otherwise known as IFRIS, which will help us in the improvement of collection of VAT from all taxpayers. As a priority, we've started with the VAT registered taxpayers, but we'll eventually expand this to all or most of the taxpayers. The other initiative that we have promoted, and we have seen it deliver significant results, is the alternative dispute resolution and voluntary disclosure in tax matters. We are mindful that we are all going through a very tough time after the pandemic. We are mindful that some of the tax omissions are done without the approval and blessing of the owners of business. We are mindful that sometimes we take too long to check on you, and when you are in error, sometimes you find the error has gone so deep and taken so long. So, in order to minimize being at conflict with our taxpayers, we have adopted and encouraged the use of alternative dispute resolution. I would like to inform you, ladies and gentlemen, that this approach has helped us recover significant amounts of revenue in a very short time. And I would like to applaud all the large taxpayers present here who have embraced the ADR and have engaged us. They can indeed testify that it's a win-win situation. We have also committed ourselves to be more listening to our taxpayers and also to be humble enough to accept mistakes where they have been made. Where we have been wrong in our assessments, we vacate them, and where we have made any errors, we own them so that we can resolve dispute instead of spending so much money and time in courts litigating over tax matters. We urge you to channel the same level of energy and commitment and embrace voluntary disclosure as well as alternative dispute resolution. Voluntary disclosure, I'm sure we're all conversant with it. When we report what has not been properly declared, then it gives us an opportunity to close that tax issue without penalizing or charging you interest on taxes that you have voluntarily declared. Ladies and gentlemen, the other area where we are focusing on is to bridge the gap between us and the potential taxpayers through tax education and agile communication. We are strengthening our taxpayer education and service delivery strategy to promote more transparency and information sharing. We believe that a lot of non-compliance is caused by the large gap between us and the taxpayers, and we are stretching out to bridge this gap so as to bring many into the right tax position through education, mobilization, and sensitization. We are providing customized client support through appointing of designated client relationship managers to each of you. I'm sure you can confirm that as members of large taxpayers who respond to any of your tax challenges that you may be facing, and also keep you updated on the developments at URA in real time. The customer relationship managers have proven to be a valuable link between us and you, our valued taxpayers. We have also extended authorized economic operator status to a number of you, and will encourage many of you to apply to be certified and taken on to this, because that will help you facilitate faster clearance of your goods at customs, and not only within the boundaries of Uganda, but also at a regional and international level. Transparency and accountability. Ladies and gentlemen, we have taken a stand as Uganda Revenue Authority to have zero tolerance for corruption. And this one, we are committed to walk the talk. I therefore would like to take this opportunity to appeal to you as members of the large taxpayer group to encourage this. Help us entrench and realize zero tolerance in revenue administration. We all know that corruption can only succeed where the two parties agree. So help us not to agree with anything less than honest assessment of your tax issues, but also very importantly, in case there is an unsolicited demand from our side to do something for you and in return lessen your tax burden, ladies and gentlemen, say no. Many a times, even that tax burden is not there, it is created to extort. So be firm and help us build our nation together when we agree to stamp out the vice of corruption. We strongly believe that corruption can be anywhere else, but not in tax collection. Once we allow that, there is no one that wins. Because now these technologies are bringing up even data of things that were done in the past. And where the bribe was paid to get away with it for a moment, it will be temporal. At the end of the day, the truth will come out. And the tax obligation will fall again on your head. And that's why we appeal to you to be our partners in fighting this vice. On our side, nobody who practices corruption, who solicits for a bribe, who negotiates a tax matter for purposes of getting a bribe from that arrangement will be tolerated. We have sent the message deep and we are ready to implement. We just need your support on this journey. We are using, again, the technologies already mentioned to expand the tax register. We are mindful that today the responsibility of paying tax falls on a few shoulders. Our entire tax register today is at 2.3 million, and this is a recent improvement from 1.7 last financial year. So we are deliberately growing the tax register. We are using the data from all these systems to help us know who are the people in the engaged in the economic activities in the country and bringing them on the tax register. We are using tax education and sensitization to identify and bring many on board. Please support us by sharing with us your information through your returns, by embracing IFRIS, because once you're on IFRIS, as the teams will demonstrate, whoever you deal with will come to our tax register automatically. And that is something that will help spread the current burden across many shoulders. Our plan is to grow our tax register to at least 5 million taxpayers by the year 2024-25. It's achievable. We have seen the strides we've made in the last 10 months. Mystic that with this momentum, we will get many on the tax register and we will walk together the journey of building our nation. The other initiatives are what we are doing today, stakeholder collaboration, and I'm glad that we've launched this by starting with our large taxpayers, tax education, which we are doing on several forums and media platforms, simplifying and automating our processes, use of sector-based approach to customize our services to the different taxpayers. We are providing capacity building opportunities to our staff in new areas to make sure that we are as good as you are in the areas that we are supposed to work on together to collect tax. And we are improving our customer support through an upgraded contact center that offers call services through voice response technology, web chat provision, as well as WhatsApp options. These are initiatives to try and get us closer to our valued taxpayers. And we have seen a significant reduction in volumes of customer walk-ins through the use of these technologies. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, the journey of our economic independence may seem steep, but it is achievable if we purpose and move together. We have revised our mission, our vision, and our core values. As you can read on the placards behind me, we are calling upon each and every one of you to join us in this effort. If I may borrow the words of an African proverb, which says that if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with others. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no way Uganda Revenue Authority can dream about improving our tax to GDP ratio to above 20% or financing our national budget by 100% without your support. I therefore call upon each one of you to purpose to fully support URA, to voluntarily pay your taxes in a timely manner, and this way we will be able to go far as a nation. Let me also conclude by thanking you so much for the great support you have given us over the years. We would definitely not be anywhere close to where we are today without your support. I thank you and I wish you very good deliberations today, and I know that by the time we leave today, we will be stronger in our partnerships and we will be more resolved to walk this journey together. I thank you. May God bless you all for God and my country.
Asante sana. Distinguished guests, we at the Uganda Revenue Authority want to go far together with you, so we need your help. Thank you, Commissioner General, for those welcome remarks. Now, to spice up basically what will be part of our engagement and discussion. We wanted to give you some sneak preview of where we are and what is cooking. So to give us a status of where we are, I would like to invite Mr. John Tinker, who is our Assistant Commissioner for in the Large Taxpayers Office, to give us a high-level presentation that will benefit our discussion to come hereafter. Mr. Tinker, the floor is yours. The screens are not on, so you're going to stand there and use the screen on the other side. Don't you want to stand in front there?
First one, you stand in front. Is them putting there?
The screens are not on.
No, I mean, on the switching on.
Yeah, you will see the presentation.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The Honorable Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development in absentia, the Honorable Minister of State of Finance in absentia, the Commissioner General, Uganda Revenue Authority, our esteemed clients of the Large Taxpayers Office, the leaders of the big audit firms, the land fellows of the audit of the law firms, members of senior management, URA staff, other invited guests, colleagues, protocol observed if I have left anybody. My name is Katungwensi John Tinker. I'm the Assistant Commissioner in charge of large taxpayers, as they have mentioned. My colleague, the Commissioner, said she came in November last year. I've been around for the last 22 years. Yes, and I have been in the Large Taxpayers Office since 2013. I was appointed during the time in the crisis of COVID. So I had the feedback from the MC that I have not visited some of you. Indeed, I have visited a few of you because of the issue of COVID, but now we are coming. So you are most welcome, and I will give you the highlights of our presentation. And basically, why are we here? The Commissioner General has mentioned why we are here, but I want to echo my voice that at the moment, when you look at the global outlook of the economy and Uganda's economic outlook, coming out of the pandemic, and revenue not coming, and donations not coming, it's incumbent upon us as large taxpayers to forge a way how best can we support one another. That will be the outline about the large taxpayers, revenue performance trend, top taxpayers, the general economic outlook, support from authority, embracing new initiatives, sectoral revenue trends, trends of sectors that declined, employment trends for the various sectors, sectors with none, the word is fiscalized sales, and then possibly the way forward or call for action. The large taxpayers, as you can see, already mentioned by the previous speakers, we are 878. Out of these, there are some companies that have closed, about 12 of them. But because they have not completed the closure process, they still have assets, they are part of this. So we have the criteria, every after 2 years, we revise. We are revising on 1st July this year. And when you look at the criteria of 30 billion, turnover above 30 billion and asset base above 30 billion, and tax contribution within a year of 2 billion, some of us here might not still be in that class. And then the other people were outside. But this is a criteria that brought you in the large taxpayers. And we've had those challenges in the decline of our sales, our business is being affected by COVID, and then other businesses emerging. So at the moment, we've not done that. We are doing it, and 1st July, we shall be having a new register. Then we have telecoms, banks, insurance companies. All these are ring-fenced to be in the large taxpayer's office. But there are some telecom companies that we've brought which have just come in. Then taxpayers, they are allocated all over the country, but the majority of them are here in the central region. Then lastly, as they mentioned, we contribute on average about 40% of URA target. This is how we are structured. These are the sectors. The tail, they are 203. Then you have manufacturing, 150. Financial and insurance institutions, they make 103. Then we have construction firms, and the majority of them currently they have finished their projects. So when we review, we shall have new ones, and then we shall have some of them dropping. Then I think you can see where you belong. So those are the 878 taxpayers. And today here we invited only 200. And the basis was not on the top 200. The basis was there are those who have performed in the sector better than others, and then there are those who have declined. So at the end of the day, please raise your issues. If you have issues, raise your what? Your issues. So we need to understand you. Since we've not been moving, we've been relying on some information here and there, so we want you to raise your issues. Then, this is the performance, the details of the performance. Revenue performance trends, the collection trends. In 2018-19, before COVID, the large taxpayers, the 878 taxpayers, contributed 6.4 trillion. And the URA collected 16.6 trillion, around 38%. Then 2019-20, we collected 6.7 trillion, and the URA collected 16.7 trillion. We really thank you. That was a time when we are in COVID, and when we called upon some of you, we said, for purposes of saving our country, support us, don't pay us 1 shilling less, and let us not collect 1 shilling more. We really supported us, and for the first time, we collected a lot of money. Then we have 2021, we only managed to collect 7.6 trillion. And when you see we are growing, 26 billion, 89 billion, and now currently, after the lockdown, after easing the lockdown, after opening the economy, we seem to be struggling as large taxpayers. We've collected 5.57 trillion, and it's against the target. Operational target is around 10 trillion. So